Do you suppose I ever got one Democrat vote? No. And so I look at it and say, this isn't about reducing greenhouse gas emissions. If it was, they would have approved one of my bills. This is about controlling how you use energy, which, just like water, energy and water are two things that if you control it, you can control where you work, how you work, where you live, how far you can commute. In other words, the government utopia that our friends keep trying to usher in. So ladies and gentlemen, make no mistake, AB 32 and Barbara Boxer's greenhouse gas cap and trade effort has very little to do with the environment and everything to do with government power and control.
The people that have managed the financial operations for the state of California haven't done a good job. And one of the areas that I look at is particularly bad. What the state of California has done is promised to people who are former employees and people who are current employees and people who will be future employees a tremendous amount of money after they stop working. It's so much money that I believe it's 5, 6, 7, 8 times larger than the entire budget for the entire state every year. I don't think there's any way that this money can be paid that was promised. Is there anything you can do to correct this? Obviously, we're headed exactly where Greece is. There's no question about it. What's the status? Can you do anything to change that?
Great question. Has to do with California's unfunded liabilities for its public sector employee unions. I'll tell you the main thing that you can do to solve it is to vote for John Eastman for Attorney General. Because what he had told you earlier tonight was that the retroactive granting of increased benefits was a violation of California's Constitution insofar as giving people more pay for work already performed, as well as a gift of public funds, which is illegal. And if you elect him, he's going to try to attack that with a lawsuit and unwind it, because that's the only way it can legally be unwound. Now, at the federal level, I'm running for United States Senate, and I'm a big believer in the 10th Amendment, which I believe is the forgotten amendment. I don't see a direct role for me as a U.S. Senator in trying to unwind California's mess in this regard. If I was running for governor, I would think that I had a more direct constitutional role. But again, let me be clear. The best thing that you can do to solve that problem is vote for John Eastman.
Hi, I was just reading your chart here. It says you're 100% for the Second Amendment.
Yes, sir.
And coming from a California, that's really important to me, just because seeing the state laws that have been passed, banning, certain weapons, stuff like that. I was wondering, how would you exactly help us with this?
Great. The question had to do with the Second Amendment, the second of our 10 Bill of Rights. Let me give you an example of what I'm going to do about that in my current capacity. In the next day or two, there's likely going to be a bill on the floor of the Assembly that would outlaw open carry. I will vote against and speak against that bill because if you twin banning open carry with the highly restrictive concealed carry permits in California, what you find is that you would effectively banish law-abiding citizens from being able to carry weapons out in public. That is an abridgment of the Second Amendment. Now, I've got a voting record on this issue, and I can say unequivocally that in 6 years in the California State Assembly, I've gotten nothing but A's from the National Rifle Association and occasionally an A+. I'm still trying to figure out how I can get an A+. I didn't know that they had advanced credit, but I think it has to do with perhaps the type of speech you gave on the floor of the assembly or something like that. So I have a proven record in that regard. One of my opponents, Tom Campbell, has gotten C's, D's, and F's from the National Rifle Association. So, you know, we both have a voting record. It's very important that you understand where we've come down on those issues.
Just wanted to thank you for being here tonight, and also wanted to thank everybody else for being here tonight, because it encourages me, and I'm sure it encourages everybody else here. Wanted to ask you, sir, states give $1 to the federal government and they receive a different amount back. We, I think, are getting 78 cents on our dollar, while Hawaii gets $1.42 or something like that, I think. What are you going to do, or what do you propose doing to help us to get more of our tax dollars back from the federal government? Or do you think we should just send 78 cents for every dollar that we owe to the government, to the federal government?
Right. The question having to do with how much money you're getting back from the federal government. Let me be very clear about this calculation. I think we often focus too much on how much we get back from the federal government, rather than on focusing on what we should focus on, which is how much are we giving those in the first place.